Imagine a world where crossing the ocean took weeks by ships. Then, imagine soaring through the sky at 35,000 feet, reaching the other side of the world in mere hours. Civil aviation has transformed how we travel, connect, and experience the planet. From fragile wood and cloth biplanes to sleek jetliners and futuristic flying taxis, this is the story of how humanity took to the skies. Welcome to the history of civil aviation. Before I delve further, here's a word from me, so you don't think I'm an AI voice. Yes, I'm definitely not going to use AI voiceovers in my video because I despise them myself. Anyway, welcome to John's Box, my YouTube channel, and to the introductory edition in the series of 10 videos to come. So it's the past, present and future of civil, or more specifically commercial aviation. You've just seen the introduction, and in this edition will be just a brief covering what the title actually says here, and then when you see me again towards the end of the video, I'll tell you what the inspiration is, and I'll also tell you about this particular book, which I purchased in, wait for it, 1981. So sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of this video. The early days. It all began on December the 17th, 1903. In Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, Orville and Wilbur Wright achieved the first powered controlled flight in a heavier-than-air machine. It lasted just 12 seconds, but it changed everything. Fast forward to 1914, the world's first scheduled commercial airline took off. The St. Petersburg-Tampa airboat line in Florida carried one paying passenger across Tampa Bay. It was primitive, noisy and expensive, but it was the dawn of air travel. World War I accelerated aviation technology. Aircraft went from being experimental to essential. And after the war, many pilots and planes were left with nowhere to go until civil aviation began to take shape. The Golden Age of Aviation. The 1920s and 30s marked the golden age of aviation. Airlines like KLM and Lufthansa were founded, and Pan American Airways opened international routes. Aircraft evolved too. The Douglas DC-3, introduced in 1935, was a game changer. It was fast, reliable and capable of flying farther with more passengers. It made air travel not just possible, but practical. This era also saw the birth of major airports and the glamour of air travel, elegant uniforms, silverware on board, and an experience once reserved for the wealthy elite. Post-World War II boom and the jet age. World War II again pushed aviation to new heights. After the war, thousands of trained pilots and surplus aircraft returned home. Civil aviation boomed. In 1952, the British introduced the de Havilland Comet, the world's first commercial jet airliner. It was fast, quiet and revolutionary, but early crashes revealed critical flaws. The jet age truly took off with the Boeing 707 in 1958. Suddenly, the world was smaller. Transatlantic flights became routine. Airlines competed not just on speed, but comfort, style, and service. The modern era. The 1970s welcomed the wide-bodied jet, the iconic Boeing 747, or the Queen of the Skies. It could carry hundreds of passengers across continents, making air travel more accessible than ever. Deregulation in the 1980s opened the skies to competition. Budget airlines emerged, bringing affordable flying to the masses. Technology kept advancing. Autopilot systems, fly-by-wire controls, and ultra-efficient engines became the norm. The Airbus A380 took the crown as the largest passenger plane, while the Boeing 787 Dreamliner redefined fuel efficiency. Flight. Today, civil aviation faces new challenges and exciting opportunities. The future may be quieter, greener, and smarter. Sustainable aviation fuels, electric aircraft, and AI-powered flight systems are already being tested. Urban air mobility and electrical vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, or eVTOLs, could soon change how we commute. And companies like Boom Supersonic are trying to bring back faster than sound travel. Wow. So I'm back with you again. By the way, please support my channel, help it to grow. I'm closing in on 1,000 subs, so with your help I can get there ASAP. So, as I promised, want to tell you about this book. I've lost the original cover. I purchased it in W.H. Smith, in my local W.H. Smith store, and the book was first published, I think, in 1979, if I'm not mistaken. So that was a long time ago, exclusively for W.H. Smith. I took my first flight as a 14-year-old, and ever since then I've been extremely interested in passenger aircraft, or let's say commercial aircraft, on and off actually. But right now, over the past couple of years, my interest has come back to me. So I'll show you some of the photos in this book, and I'll be using this particular book at least for talking about the past of civil aviation, because it does finish in around 1980, and a lot has happened in the last 45 years as far as aircraft are concerned. Let's take a look then, in this case, at some of the photos, just to give you an overview. So, and I will take a picture of each of these, so you'll be able to see them at the end of this video. As I mentioned, I will be using this book as the basis, at least, to talk about the past. So starting off with how flying began, maybe balloon by balloon, maybe in the 17th or 18th centuries. Then to the airship. There you go, there's the airship. And then, as you can see, the first biplanes, driven by either petrol or water power. So then we come on to what was, so this was around about the First World War, and over 100 years ago. Here we've got some more biplanes. I'll try and get through this as quickly as possible. And of course, water was used, so these were the planes which could land and take off on water, and many of the early ports, or rather many of the early flights, particularly international, took off from harbours because of their convenience, and you didn't have to build a runway, of course. Then here we have the Constellation, the Lockheed Constellation, the famous Connie, operated by British Overseas Airline Corporation. So this was when flying came at a premium price, something like you're paying for first class today. Here you have two great planes produced, the Great Vickers Viscount, produced in Britain in the colours of British Airways. I guess at Heathrow Airport, although I'm not sure. Probably not. Looks too small. Just turning. I've lost myself a little bit. Here's then it came to the era of D-Jet. The Viscounts were turbojets or turboprops. I actually flew in a DC-8 plane to Canada as a student. The Soviets also put their mark on civil aviation, although maybe more from the 1950s onwards, after the Second World War. The Great Concorde, supersonic travel, made it possible to fly to New York from London Heathrow in less than 3 hours. Here's a shot from Dubai Airport as it used to be. And the Soviets copied it In fact, their Concorde got off the ground before the Anglo-French one. But the one at the Paris Air Show, which incidentally starts today, crashed during a display. The great Queen of the Skies, the Boeing 747. And I think that is the prototype of it, which was retained by Boeing for test flying, now in a museum. This picture shows the luxury interiors on the upper deck at that time. Make sure you'll see all these photos at the end. The tri-jets, especially the wide ones, they were a thing, very common sight in the skies from the 1960s, even up to the noughties, or maybe just before. There's the Lockheed TriStar, and I flew back on a Lockheed TriStar from Canada. How lucky I am to have flown in these old planes then. And finally, another tri-jet, the SkyTrain, one of the first services, that was transatlantic service, to offer cheap flights. Rather, transatlantic flights on budget airlines are often unsuccessful, but the best examples we see today are within Europe. Operators such as Ryanair, EasyJet and Wizz Air. And finally, the Super Guppy here, that's built on a Stratocruiser airframe, so a little bit about freight as well. So as I mentioned, you'll see those photos at the end of this video in just a moment, and I'll be using this book as a basis for the video work that I do. That's it for today, and I'll be back in a not too distant future in the first of a series of civil aviation, past, present and future. See you again. Don't forget to do all the YouTube business. If you'd like to comment on today's video, just comment simply. Give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down, because your comments add to the feedback and thus the content of this video. Thank you very much again, and see you again in another video on Johnson.